Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into an introduction to temperature sensor and unpacking the incredibly fascinating science behind how we actually measure the invisible thermal world all around us. We're going to explore exactly how these devices take raw thermal energy and turn it into actionable data that we rely on every single day. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start by looking at the core problem of undetected heat. Then break down the fundamental difference between active and passive sensors. From there, we'll dive into the big three contact sensors, check out some really cool non-contact and silicon technologies, and finally, tie it all together with real-world industrial predictive maintenance. Let's get right into it. Let's kick things off with what is arguably the ultimate industrial headache: figuring out when a piece of critical equipment is about to break down well before it actually happens. Seriously, ask yourself, how do we catch a catastrophic machine failure before it brings a whole production line to a grinding halt? Think of it like a check engine light for a massive factory. What's the absolute earliest physical indicator that heavy-duty motors, complex electrical panels, or industrial bearings are heading toward a critical failure? Hint, it's not a loud clanking noise or a sudden shutdown. The answer is heat. As our sources point out, heat is a direct indicator of equipment condition. It is literally the earliest measurable sign of mechanical friction, electrical overload, or insulation failure. Long before vibrations start physically shaking a machine apart or smoke visibly fills the air, abnormal heat acts just like a nervous system indicating pain. It tells us exactly where the stress is accumulating, giving us time to act. So, to measure this invisible heat, we obviously rely on temperature sensors. But, as you might guess, not all sensors are created equal. They fundamentally split into two main operational camps. Those two camps are active and passive. An active sensor, like a thermocouple, is entirely self-generating. It naturally produces its own electrical output without needing any external battery or power supply. Pretty cool, right? A passive sensor, on the other hand, needs an external power source to function. It relies on measurable changes in electrical resistance as it heats up or cools down. Now that we've got that fundamental divide down, let's zoom in on the contact sensors, specifically the big three that absolutely dominate the industrial world. First up, thermocouples, which run on something called the Seebeck effect. This is just a brilliantly elegant piece of physics. If you form a circuit by joining two different metals, and you keep their junctions at different temperatures, so a hot measuring side and a cold reference side, a voltage is naturally induced. The amount of voltage generated acts as a direct mathematical mirror to the temperature difference between those 2 points. And engineers get really creative here. They don't just stick to one type of metal pairing. By combining dissimilar metals, like copper, iron, or platinum, they create highly specific thermocouple types for different jobs. The K-type is super common and economical, but the S-type? That is a true beast. By using platinum and a platinum-rhodium alloy, these sensors can accurately measure temperatures all the way up to 1400 degrees Celsius. To put that in perspective for you, that is hot enough to easily melt volcanic rock. No big deal. This brings us to our first passive sensor, the resistance temperature detector, or RTD. An RTD operates on the principle that the electrical resistance of a pure metal predictably increases as its temperature rises. Because they use pure metals with a positive temperature coefficient, RTDs offer vastly superior precision and long-term stability compared to thermocouples, even if they can't quite survive those volcanic temperatures. When we look at the materials inside RTDs, platinum, specifically the P100, is the absolute gold standard. It offers unmatched stability and the widest measurement range, going from -200 all the way to positive 850 degrees Celsius. You will see less expensive metals like nickel and copper used too, but copper is limited to 260 degrees and is super prone to oxidation. So platinum really remains the undisputed king of high accuracy. The third major contact sensor is the thermistor. Unlike RTDs, these split into two very distinct models that do opposite things. NTC, or negative temperature coefficient thermistors, decrease in resistance as temperature rises. These are incredibly precise and are the exact sensors powering the digital thermostats in your home right now. PTC, or positive temperature coefficient thermistors, do the exact opposite. Their resistance sharply spikes as they get hot, making them fantastic self-resetting fuses to protect circuits from dangerous electrical overcurrents. Now, there is a catch with thermistors. Because their resistance doesn't change in a neat, straight, linear line, it's actually highly nonlinear. Engineers can't just use simple math to get a reading. Instead, they have to rely on something called the Steinhart-Hart equation. Think of it as a heavy-duty mathematical curve fitter.
It's a complex, third-order approximation required to accurately map the resistance to the actual temperature. It's heavy math, for sure, but it's exactly what makes the thermistor's incredible precision possible.
But what happens if the object we need to measure is dangerously hot, moving quickly on a conveyor belt, or simply impossible to physically touch? That's where we look beyond the surface. For those impossible scenarios, we turn to infrared, or IR, thermometers. The way they work is actually pretty straightforward. First, a lens focuses the invisible infrared radiation emitting from an object. Second, a specialized detector known as a thermopile, which is basically a grid of tiny thermocouples, absorbs that radiation. Third, this heat is instantly converted into a proportional voltage output. And finally, the device uses that voltage to calculate and display the exact temperature on a screen. All of that happens in a fraction of a millisecond. Before we leave sensor types entirely, we have to mention the unsung hero hiding right in plain sight, the silicon bandgap temperature sensor. Inside the gadgets we use every single day, your smartphone, your laptop's motherboard, you will find these tiny sensors. They cleverly utilize the predictable voltage shifts of a simple silicon diode. Because they can be printed directly onto integrated circuits, they act as incredibly economical on-chip guardians, keeping our electronics from literally melting down. All right, let's connect the dots here. How do we take all this amazing sensor technology and actually put it to work to keep modern industry running smoothly? Enter industrial predictive maintenance. A really common question on the factory floor is whether to use fixed sensors or thermal imaging cameras. Well, they actually serve very different operational roles. A thermal imaging camera gives you a 2D surface map. It's a manual snapshot used during periodic walkthroughs to hunt down unknown hotspots. Fixed temperature sensors, however, are the steady, reliable watchdogs. They stay mounted to the machine 24/7, streaming continuous automated point measurements. They catch the gradual hidden thermal trends that a manual snapshot would totally miss. This continuous data is really where the magic happens for maintenance teams. For instance, if a machine's bearing is running just 10 to 15 degrees Celsius above normal, continuous sensors instantly flag this as early lubrication failure or dangerous friction. For electric motors, the stakes are even higher. Every 10 degrees over their temperature class limit actually halves the motor's insulation lifespan. Halves it! And by using non-contact IR monitoring in electrical panels, facilities can spot high-resistance connections before they trigger explosive arc flashes. By tying continuous temperature, vibration, and current data all together, condition monitoring platforms can alert teams and stop a massive breakdown weeks before it stops production. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought. Take a quick look around the room you're sitting in right now. Really, look around. How much unseen thermal data is being tracked right this very second? From the silicon bandgap sensor protecting the exact device you're watching this on, to the NTC thermistor inside your wall thermostat, we exist in a world constantly analyzing invisible thermal energy. So how many invisible sensors are quietly working to protect you right now? It's a fascinating invisible world, and I hope this introduction to temperature sensors helped bring it into focus for you.